Did you know that your indoor environment and the air quality in that indoor environment can negatively impact your brain both in terms of function and structure? We see this very clearly in patients suffering from chronic inflammatory response syndrome or CIRS. These are patients who are genetically susceptible to initiating an inflammatory response driven by exposure to the interior water damaged buildings that contain certain molds and bacteria that produce these biotoxins. We now know that there are three brain regions that are heavily impacted by this inflammatory response that we see in CIRS patients. The first brain region is the cortical gray matter. That's the outer part of your brain that you typically see in pictures. And a lot of your information processing takes place in this part of the brain. A lot of your executive functions, attention, working memory, your ability to comprehend information, all of this is impacted. And what we see is swelling of the cortical gray matter in CIRS. Number two, we see also swelling of the hippocampus, which is a brain region that's really important for the formation of new memories. And in fact, it's one of the main brain regions affected in Alzheimer's disease. And number three, we see atrophy of the caudate nucleus, which is part of a larger brain region called the basal ganglia. And this is where a lot of your dopamine is produced. So anything that has to do with reward and motivation and goal-directed behavior becomes impaired. And this region is also tied to executive function, planning, your ability to articulate speech. So if you've had any deficiencies in terms of symptoms in any of these areas, it may be tied to this inflammatory response in CIRS.